My entitled family wants to take my baby and pretend I'm not the mother. They don't know what they've just started. My daughter Emma was 3 months old when my mother-in-law started taking measurements. I walked into the nursery one afternoon and found her holding a tape measure against Emma's head, writing numbers in a small leather notebook. When I asked what she was doing, she smiled and said she was tracking growth patterns for the baby book she was making. That seemed normal enough. Grandmothers do things like that. But then I noticed my sister-in-law doing the same thing 2 days later, and my husband's aunt the weekend after that. They'd each show up with their own notebooks, measure Emma when they thought I wasn't looking, and exchange these quick glances with each other. My husband Jake said I was being paranoid. His family was just really invested in Emma because she was the first grandchild in 15 years. The last baby born into the family had been Jake himself, and his mother had apparently waited decades for another chance to be hands-on with an infant. But their behavior kept getting stranger. They started asking detailed questions about Emma's birth. What time was she born exactly? What did the birth certificate say? Who was in the delivery room? My mother-in-law asked to see the hospital bracelet I'd saved, studying it like she was looking for something specific. Then they started showing up unannounced. Jake's mom would arrive at 7 a.m. with coffee and pastries, saying she wanted to help with the baby while I got ready for the day. His sister would pop by during lunch, claiming she was in the neighborhood. His aunt would text asking if she could drop off dinner, then stay for 3 hours holding Emma. At first, I appreciated the help. New motherhood was exhausting, and having extra hands seemed like a blessing, but they never actually helped with anything. They didn't do dishes or laundry or cooking. They just wanted to hold Emma, take photos of Emma, watch Emma sleep. The photos were excessive, hundreds of them, professional quality shots from every angle. My mother-in-law even brought a photographer friend to our house one afternoon without asking, saying she wanted proper portraits done before Emma got any bigger. I started noticing they'd coordinate their visits. One would leave and another would arrive within minutes, like they were taking shifts. And they were always on their phones when they thought I wasn't watching, typing quickly and tucking the devices away when I entered the room. Jake said his family had always been close and clingy, that I needed to be more understanding of their traditions and the way they showed love. But this didn't feel like love, it felt like surveillance. Then I found the documents. I was cleaning out the diaper bag one morning and discovered folded papers shoved in the bottom. Legal papers. A petition for grandparents' rights. But it wasn't just visitation they were requesting. The language talked about primary custody, about Emma's best interests, about concerns regarding my fitness as a mother. My hands shook reading the allegations. That I was isolated from family. That I was struggling with postpartum depression. That I was denying Emma's rightful family access to her. None of it was true, but seeing it written in legal language made my blood run cold. I confronted Jake that night, showing him the papers. His face went pale. He admitted his mother had mentioned something about making sure they had legal protection to see Emma, but he hadn't thought she was serious. He promised to talk to her. But the next day, when I checked our bedroom closet, I found Jake's suitcase was packed, not with his clothes, with Emma's things. Bottles, diapers, clothes organized by size, her medical records, her birth certificate. That's when I heard voices downstairs. Jake's entire family had gathered in our living room without me knowing they were coming. I stood at the top of the stairs listening to them discuss logistics. Who would take Emma during the day? How they'd handle feeding schedules? What they'd tell people about where I was? My mother-in-law's voice cut through clearly. She's not stable enough to be a mother right now. We're doing what's best for Emma. This is what the family needs. And that's when I realized what I needed to do next. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely unlock my phone, but I managed to hit record and prop it against a picture frame on the upstairs hallway table. I need evidence of what they're planning. I need proof that I'm not crazy. We'll tell people she's getting treatment. My mother-in-law says, her voice carrying clearly up the stairs. It's not even a lie. She needs help and Emma needs stability. What if she fights it? Jake's sister asks. She won't have any grounds. My mother-in-law replies confidently. We have documentation of her behavior, the photos, the notes from the doctor, and Jake will testify that she's been unstable since the birth. My heart pounds in my chest. What doctor? What photos? I haven't seen any doctor except Emma's pediatrician and my regular postpartum checkup. And if she tries to take Emma? Jake's aunt asks. There's a pause, and then my mother-in-law's voice, cold and determined. She won't keep her. Emma belongs with us, with her real family. I feel sick. Real family? I'm Emma's mother. I carried her for 9 months. I gave birth to her. What are they talking about? I retrieve my phone, stopping the recording, and slip into the nursery where Emma is napping. I need to think. I need help. With trembling fingers, I scroll through my contacts until I find Sarah, my college roommate, the one who became a family law attorney. She answers on the 3rd ring. Hey stranger, how's motherhood? Sarah, I whisper, my voice breaking. I need your help. Jake's family is trying to take Emma. They're downstairs right now planning it. There's a beat of silence. Are you serious? They have fake documents. They're saying I'm unstable. They've been measuring her, taking photos. Jake packed a suitcase with her things. The words tumble out in a desperate rush. Listen to me, Sarah says, her voice shifting from friendly to professional in an instant. Don't confront them. Don't let them know you're onto them. Pack a bag for you and Emma. Essential items only. Can you get out of the house? I think so. Through the bedroom window. There's a small roof over the porch. Good. Do you have somewhere to go? Somewhere they wouldn't look? I think for a moment. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen. She watches Emma sometimes when I need a shower. She lives 3 houses down. Perfect. Go there and I'll pick you up. My apartment is across town. They won't look for you here. I end the call and move quickly. I grab the diaper bag and empty it completely, checking for any more hidden documents. I repack it with diapers, wipes, formula, and bottles. I throw in Emma's favorite blanket and stuffed elephant. For myself, I grab my wallet, ID, Emma's birth certificate from my desk drawer, and a change of clothes. I can still hear them talking downstairs, making plans for my daughter's life without me in it. I gently lift Emma from her crib, grateful that she doesn't stir. I wrap her in a blanket and secure her against my chest with the baby carrier. The window opens silently. Thank God I oiled the hinges last week when they were squeaking. The small roof over the porch is just below my bedroom window. I've never been more more thankful that we have a ranch-style house with a low profile. I step carefully onto the roof, keeping my body low and my movements slow. Once on the ground, I stay close to the hedges, making my way to Mrs. Chen's house. I knock softly on her back door. When she opens it, her eyes widen at the sight of me clutching Emma, tears streaming down my face. "They're trying to take her," is all I manage to say. Mrs. Chen doesn't ask questions. She ushers me inside and closes the blinds. 20 minutes later, she's driving us to the address. Sarah texted me. Emma is still miraculously asleep in her car seat, borrowed from Mrs. Chen's granddaughter. Sarah is waiting outside her apartment building. She hugs me tightly, then helps carry our things inside. Her apartment is small but neat, with law books stacked on every surface. "I've already started the paperwork for an emergency protective order," she says, leading me to her spare room where she's set up a portable crib. "We'll file first thing in the morning. For now, you need to write down everything. Every detail you can remember about their behavior." As I settle Emma in the crib, my phone rings. "Jake." I show Sarah the screen. "Put it on speaker," she says. "Don't tell him where you are." I answer. "Hello? Where the hell are you?" Jake's voice is frantic. "Where's Emma?" "Somewhere safe," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "What are you talking about? Come home right now. You've completely misunderstood everything." "Have I? I heard your mother talking about taking Emma." "I found the suitcase, Jake. I found the petition." "That's not," he starts, then sighs. "Look, Mom gets carried away sometimes. She was just worried about you. You've been so tired, so emotional lately. We all thought you might need a break." "A break?" I repeat incredulously. "Your family was planning to take my baby and pretend I'm not her mother." "That's ridiculous. No one said that." "I heard them, Jake. I recorded them." There's silence on the other end. Then, "Just come home. We'll talk about this. Whatever you think you heard, it's not what you think. I'll talk to you through my lawyer," I say, and hang up. Sarah looks at me with approval. "Good. Now let's check your phone for tracking apps." While she works on my phone, I check on Emma, who's still sleeping peacefully, unaware that her entire world has just been upended. My phone buzzes with a voicemail notification. Unknown number. I play it on speaker. "You listen to me," my mother-in-law's voice hisses. "You're making a huge mistake. Emma deserves her real mother, not someone who's barely holding it together. We have proof of your instability. We have documentation. The courts will side with us. Bring her home now, and maybe we can work something out where you can still see her occasionally." Sarah's eyes widen. "Real mother? What is she talking about?" "I have no idea," I whisper. "I carried Emma. I gave birth to her. There's no question she's mine." Sarah digs through the diaper bag, pulling out the contents. At the bottom, she finds a folded document I missed. It's a medical report, supposedly from my OBGYN, detailing concerns about my mental health, including hallucinations about pregnancy and birth. "This is completely fabricated," I say, staring at the paper. "I never had these appointments. This isn't even my doctor's signature." "They're creating a paper trail," Sarah says grimly. "They're trying to make it look like you have some kind of delusional disorder, where you believe you gave birth when you didn't. But that's insane. There are hospital records. There are witnesses. The birth certificate has my name on it." Sarah's expression is grim. "Let me make some calls. I think we need to sweep your house for evidence." She contacts a private investigator she knows, who agrees to check my house the next day. When he calls back, what he finds chills me to the bone. There are cameras in the nursery, he tells us over speakerphone. Professional grade, well hidden. One in the smoke detector, one in the teddy bear on the shelf, one disguised as a nightlight. They've been recording everything. The measurements, I whisper. The constant visits. They were documenting everything, building their case. "There's more," the investigator says. "I found a locked file cabinet in the guest room closet. Your mother-in-law has a key to your house, right?" "Yes," I confirm, "for emergencies." "Well, this cabinet contains what looks like genetic testing paperwork. There are hair samples labeled with Emma's name, and there's a calendar with dates circled, court dates, I'm guessing, for custody hearings." As I listen, holding Emma close to my chest, I realize this isn't just about control or grandparents wanting more time with their grandchild. This is something much more calculated, much more sinister. They've been planning this since before she was born, I say, the truth dawning on me with horrible clarity. The measurements, the photos from every angle, the questions about the birth certificate. They've been building a case to claim she isn't mine. Sarah puts her hand over mine. "We have the recording. We have the evidence from your house. We'll get the emergency protective order tomorrow morning, and then we're going to fight this with everything we've got." I look down at Emma, now awake and blinking up at me with her perfect blue eyes that look exactly like mine. Whatever my mother-in-law might claim, they don't know what they've started, I say softly. I will never let them take her from me. Never. I wake up to Emma's soft cries around 5 a.m. For a moment, disoriented in Sarah's spare bedroom, I forget why we're here. Then it all comes flooding back. The recordings, the escape, the realization that my husband and his family have been plotting to take my daughter. "I've got you, sweet girl," I whisper, lifting her from the portable crib. As I change her diaper and prepare a bottle, I notice my hands are steadier than yesterday. Fear is giving way to anger, and anger is giving me strength. Sarah emerges from her bedroom, already dressed in a crisp blazer and pencil skirt despite the early hour. "Court opens at 8:30, she says, pouring coffee into a travel mug. "I've prepared the emergency petition. We need to be first in line." By 7:45, we're waiting outside the courthouse. Emma is strapped to my chest in the baby carrier, sleeping peacefully against my heartbeat. I've dressed her in a yellow onesie. Nothing Jake's mother bought her. Nothing they could recognize if they're looking for us. "Sarah!" a voice calls from across the courthouse steps. A tall man in a tailored suit approaches. "Got your message. This the case you mentioned?" Sarah introduces me to Judge Harmon's clerk, who takes our paperwork with a sympathetic nod and promises to get us in first. The system works fast when you know the right people, and I'm endlessly grateful that Sarah does. Inside the judge's chambers, I play the recording. The judge, a stern-looking woman with silver hair, listens with narrowing eyes as my mother-in-law's voice fills the room. "Emma belongs with us, with her real family. And you have reason to believe they were planning to physically take your child?" Judge Harmon asks. "Yes, Your Honor. My husband had packed a suitcase with Emma's things. I found a petition for grandparents' rights hidden in the diaper bag. And this, I slide across the fabricated medical report claiming I have delusions about being Emma's mother. mother. The judge examines the document carefully. This purports to be from Dr. Melissa Winters at Lakeside Women's Clinic? Yes, but I've never been a patient there. My actual OBGYN is Dr. Thomas at University Hospital. I have my medical records here to prove it. I hand over the legitimate paperwork from my pregnancy and delivery, and the private investigator found cameras in your child's nursery? The judge continues. Sarah nods. Installed without my client's knowledge or consent, Your Honor. We believe they've been gathering footage to use against her. The judge looks at Emma, now awake and watching the proceedings with curious eyes. I'm granting the temporary restraining order against your husband and his family members. They are to stay 500 feet away from you and your daughter, pending a full hearing. Relief washes over me, but it's short-lived. As we exit the courthouse, my phone buzzes with a text from Mrs. Chen. People have been at your house since dawn, taking things out. A woman who looks like your mill is directing everything. They're clearing out evidence, Sarah says grimly. Let's call the police. By the time we get back to Sarah's apartment, my phone has 27 missed calls. Jake, his mother, his sister, even his aunt. The voicemails range from pleading to threatening. Baby, please come home, Jake begs in one. Mom went too far, I know, but she just wants what's best for Emma. His mother's message is chilling. We have photos of you neglecting that child, sleeping while she cries, leaving her unattended. The courts will see what kind of mother you really are. I play it for Sarah, who shakes her head. Doctored photos. They probably staged scenes with Emma when you were in the shower or sleeping. From the hidden cameras, I realize, feeling violated all over again. My phone rings again. Jake's sister this time. I put it on speaker. I'm only calling once, she says, her voice cold. I witnessed your episode last month when you couldn't remember changing Emma's diaper and accused me of making things up. I documented everything. The doctor says it's postpartum psychosis, and I'm prepared to testify. What episode? I ask, genuinely confused. That never happened. See? You don't even remember. Just bring Emma home before this gets worse for you. I hang up, shaking. She's lying. That never happened. They're building their narrative, Sarah says, making notes, creating witnesses to back up the fake medical reports. The doorbell rings, making us both jump. Sarah peers through the peephole, then relaxes. It's just my neighbor returning my casserole dish. But when she opens the door, a woman in a business suit stands there instead. Hello, I'm Angela Martinez with Child Protective Services. We received an anonymous report about a child in danger at this address. Sarah immediately steps into lawyer mode. May I see your identification, please? And the specific allegations? Angela shows her credentials and explains that someone reported a mother with severe postpartum psychosis had kidnapped her baby and was hiding at this address. That's completely false, I say, trying to keep my voice steady as Emma begins to fuss in my arms. I have a temporary restraining order against my husband and his family, who are attempting to take my daughter through fraudulent means. I show her the court order, and Sarah adds, we can provide documentation of the false reports being made against my client, including fabricated medical records. The CPS worker looks uncertain. I still need to complete my assessment. May I see the baby? I reluctantly allow her to examine Emma, who smiles and coos at the stranger. Angela notes Emma's clean clothes, healthy appearance, and the obvious bond between us. She seems well cared for, Angela admits, but I'll need to follow up. This is an unusual situation. After she leaves, Sarah makes more calls while I try to calm my racing heart. They're escalating fast, she says. We need to be prepared for more. Let's get you both to a hotel tonight, just in case. While packing Emma's diaper bag, I notice something odd. A small black disc sewn into the lining. Sarah, I call out. What's this? She examines it and swears under her breath. It's a tracking device. They know exactly where you are. Just as she says this, there's a loud banging on the apartment door. Open up! I know my niece is in there. Jake's aunt, the same woman who had been measuring Emma's head circumference just days ago. Sarah calls 911 while I gather Emma and our essentials. We hear scratching at the lock she's trying to break in. Police are on their way, Sarah whispers. Stay in the bedroom. I hear the door splinter, followed by Sarah shouting legal warnings. There's a scuffle, then silence. When I peek out, Sarah is standing over Jake's aunt, who's sprawled on the floor clutching her ankle. Slipped on the welcome mat, Sarah says with grim satisfaction. The police can help her up when they arrive. The next few hours are a blur of police statements and moving to a secure hotel. Sarah hires a private investigator who delivers his preliminary findings that evening. Your mother-in-law has quite a history, he says, spreading documents across the hotel desk. This isn't her first custody battle. Jake's ex-girlfriend from college had a similar experience. Sudden claims of mental instability, fabricated medical records, hidden surveillance. What happened? I ask, dreading the answer. She gave up, signed over her rights, and moved across the country. There was another case before that too. Jake's high school girlfriend, pregnant, then suddenly unfit, according to a suspiciously similar set of documents. I feel sick. So this is a pattern. A family business. More like it, the investigator continues. I found records of Jake's mother attempting this with his father's previous marriage as well. She seems to target women who give birth to children she wants to claim. But why? What does she get from this? The investigator shrugs. Control? Power? Some people are just wired wrong. But here's something interesting. There's a substantial trust fund involved. Each grandchild in the family receives a significant inheritance at 18, controlled by the legal guardian until then. I look down at Emma sleeping peacefully in the hotel crib. So this is about money? Partly, he says. But I think it's more about ownership. These measurements they've been taking, they match the format of genetic testing documentation. I think they're trying to prove Emma is somehow more genetically theirs than yours. That night, as I watch Emma sleep, I think about the leather notebooks, the constant photography, the questions about my pregnancy and delivery. They weren't just building a case against me. They were constructing an alternate reality where Emma wasn't really mine. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. It's a photo of me, clearly taken through Sarah's apartment window earlier today, holding Emma. The caption reads, "Court date set for final custody determination. Prepared to lose everything." I show it to Sarah, who adds it to our growing evidence file. They don't realize what they've done, I tell her, a new determination hardening in my voice. voice. They think I'm just a tired new mom they can bully and manipulate. They have no idea who they're dealing with. What do you mean? Sarah asks. I pull out my own notebook, not leather-bound like theirs. Just a simple spiral one I've been using to document everything since this began. Before I was a mom, I was a data analyst. I notice patterns, I keep records, and I've been tracking every single thing they've done since the day I caught my mother-in-law measuring my daughter's head. I flip through pages of meticulous notes, times, dates, quotes, observations. They think they're building a case against me. I've been building one against them from the beginning, and now they've shown their hand completely. Sarah flips through my notebook, eyes widening. This is incredible documentation. They picked the wrong mother to mess with, I say, gently stroking Emma's cheek as she sleeps, and they have no idea what I'm about to do next. The day of the final custody hearing arrives with a weight that feels almost crushing. I've barely slept, spending most of the night watching Emma breathe in the portable crib beside the hotel bed, terrified this might be one of our last nights together. You look like hell, Sarah says bluntly as she helps me adjust my blazer in the courthouse bathroom, but a presentable, sympathetic hell. I manage a weak smile. Is that the professional legal assessment? It is, she says, handing me Emma so I can adjust her little dress, a simple navy blue with white collar that makes her look impossibly tiny and vulnerable. Remember, let me do most of the talking. Only speak when directly addressed by the judge, and no matter what they say, don't react. I finish for her. I know. The courtroom is smaller than I expected, with polished wooden benches and the smell of furniture polish. Jake and his family are already seated on the opposite side. His mother sits ramrod straight in a cream-colored suit, her hair perfectly coiffed, looking for all the world like a respectable grandmother concerned only for her grandchild's welfare. Jake looks haggard, with dark circles under his eyes. His sister sits beside him, whispering in his ear. When they notice us entering, Jake's mother's eyes lock onto Emma like a predator spotting prey. I instinctively hold my daughter closer to my chest. All rise, the bailiff announces as Judge Harmon enters. She's the same stern-faced woman who granted our emergency order, and I feel a flicker of hope seeing her familiar face. Jake's lawyer presents their case first. The narrative they've constructed is both elaborate and terrifying. According to them, I'm a mentally unstable woman suffering from severe postpartum psychosis who has fabricated an entire pregnancy and birth experience. They claim I've become dangerously obsessed with Jake's family's baby and have been attempting to pass her off as my own. Jake's mother takes the stand, dabbing at non-existent tears with a lace handkerchief. We've been so worried, she says, her voice quavering with practiced emotion. At first, we thought it was just normal new mother anxiety, but then she started becoming paranoid, accusing us of trying to take the baby when all we wanted was to help. She produces photos of me looking exhausted, slumped in a chair while Emma cries in her crib. We documented her neglect because we were concerned for the baby's welfare. The photos are clearly taken from the hidden cameras in my home. I grip the edge of the table until my knuckles turn white, but I keep my face neutral as Sarah instructed. Jake's mother continues, we believe she needs serious psychiatric help. The baby deserves to be with her family with people who can provide stability and proper care. Jake's sister testifies next, describing an incident that never happened where I supposedly couldn't remember changing Emma's diaper and became hysterical when questioned. It was frightening, she says. She was completely disconnected from reality. When Jake takes the stand, he looks directly at me for the first time. I love my wife, he says, his voice cracking, but she's not well. My mother noticed it first. The inconsistencies in her stories about the birth, her paranoia, her possessiveness over the baby. We just want her to get help. Sarah's cross-examination is surgical. She establishes that none of them ever expressed these concerns to any medical professional before I fled with Emma. She forces Jake to admit he never once suggested I see a doctor for these supposed symptoms until after I discovered their plan. When it's our turn to present evidence, Sarah starts with the recording I made that night, my mother-in-law's voice filling the courtroom. Emma belongs with us, with her real family. Jake's mother's face hardens as her own words play back. The judge watches her reaction carefully. Next, Sarah presents the fabricated medical records they created, alongside my actual medical history from pregnancy through delivery. The hospital administrator testifies about the authenticity of my records, confirming I gave birth to Emma at University Hospital on the exact date on her birth certificate. Your Honor, Sarah says, I'd like to present Exhibit C leather notebooks found in the possession of the respondents. The bailiff brings forward the small leather notebooks I'd found them writing in during their visits. Sarah opens one to a page covered with measurements and notes. Mrs. Harrison, Sarah addresses Jake's mother. Can you explain why you've been measuring Emma's head circumference, length of limbs, and facial features with such precision? For baby books, she says dismissively. All grandmothers do this. All grandmothers record cranial measurements to the millimeter and compare them to genetic databases? Sarah asks, turning to a specific page where genetic compatibility is written at the top. Jake's mother's composure cracks slightly. I wanted to make sure she was developing properly. And these notes about her birth certificate? Sarah continues, flipping to another page. Original may be problematic. Consider alternatives. Before Jake's mother can answer, Jake suddenly stands up. Stop, he says, his voice breaking. Just stop. Mr. Harrison, sit down, the judge orders. I can't do this anymore, Jake says, ignoring her. He turns to me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. His lawyer tries to pull him back into his seat, but Jake shakes him off. Mom planned all of this, he says, looking directly at the judge. She convinced me you were sick, he continues, now looking at me. She said you were having delusions about the pregnancy, that you'd stolen Emma's birth certificate, that you were dangerous. The courtroom erupts in whispers. Judge Harmon bangs her gavel. Order. Jake's sister stands up next. It's true, she says, her voice shaking. Mom did this before, with Jake's ex-wife. She tried to take their son, claiming his ex wasn't the real mother. Jake looks at his sister in shock. What? What son? You don't remember because you were only 20, his sister continues. She made you believe your girlfriend had fabricated the entire pregnancy. The girl left town and gave up the baby for adoption because she was terrified of what Mom would do. Jake's mother is on her feet now. That's That's a lie. She's lying to protect her. The judge bangs her gavel again. Mrs. Harrison, control yourself or I'll have you removed. Sarah seizes the moment. Your Honor, we'd like to present the security footage recovered from hidden cameras installed in my client's home without her knowledge or consent. The footage shows Jake's mother and sister systematically searching through my personal belongings, photographing Emma from multiple angles, and most damning of all, Jake's mother clearly saying, once we have custody, we'll need to update the birth records, remove her name completely. The courtroom falls silent as the video plays. I watch Jake's face crumble as he sees the truth of what his family has been doing. Your Honor, Sarah says, we have one more witness. A tall, gray-haired man enters the courtroom. Jake's face goes pale. Dad, I've never met Jake's father. He left the family years ago, and Jake rarely speaks of him. Robert Harrison, he introduces himself to the court. I'm Jake's father and Emma's grandfather. Mr. Harrison, the judge says, you weren't on the witness list. I came as soon as I heard what was happening, he explains. Your Honor, my ex-wife has done this before, multiple times. He describes a pattern spanning decades, Jake's mother attempting to claim babies born into the family, fabricating evidence against their mothers, and creating elaborate lies to justify taking the children. She did it to my sister's child, claiming my sister was an unfit mother. She tried it with Jake's high school girlfriend. She succeeded with his college girlfriend. There may be others I don't know about. As he speaks, Jake's mother becomes increasingly agitated. They weren't worthy, she finally screams, jumping to her feet. None of them deserve to be mothers to those children. The bailiff moves toward her, but she continues her tirade, pointing at me. And she's the worst of all. Look at her. Emma deserves better breeding than that, better genetics, a better mother. Mrs. Harrison, the judge shouts, control yourself immediately. I've done nothing wrong, she shrieks. I'm protecting my bloodline. Those children belong with me. As the bailiff finally escorts her from the courtroom, Judge Harmon calls a brief recess. In the hallway, Jake approaches me cautiously, his eyes red-rimmed. I didn't know, he whispers. I swear I didn't know about the other babies. She told me you were sick, that you needed help, that Emma needed protection. I look at him holding our daughter. You packed a suitcase with her things, Jake. You were going to take her from me. I thought I was protecting her, he says, his voice breaking. Mom said you were having episodes when I wasn't home, that you'd forget feeding her or changing her. She had videos, photos, staged, from cameras she installed without our knowledge. He nods miserably. I see that now. When court resumes, Judge Harmon reviews the DNA test results Sarah had expedited, confirming with 99.9% certainty that Emma is my biological child. She examines the medical records, the recordings, the security footage, and the notebooks. Her ruling is decisive. Based on the overwhelming evidence presented today, I am granting full legal and physical custody of Emma Harrison to her mother, with a permanent restraining order against Elaine Harrison, prohibiting any contact with the child or mother. She turns to Jake. Mr. Harrison, given your participation, however unwitting, in this disturbing conspiracy, I am granting you supervised visitation only, pending completion of psychological evaluation and parenting classes. Jake nods, tears streaming down his face. As we prepare to leave the courtroom, Jake's father approaches me. I'm sorry, he says simply. I should have warned you. I just never thought she'd try again after all these years. Why does she do this? I ask, the question that's been haunting me for weeks. He sighs heavily. Control. Ownership. In her mind, the family bloodline belongs to her. The measurements, the photographs, she's been obsessed with genetic traits since before Jake was born. She believes she can identify superior genetics and has the right to claim those children as her own. Outside the courthouse, Sarah hugs me tightly. It's over, she says. You won. I look down at Emma, sleeping peacefully against my chest, unaware of the battle that's been fought over her. We won. I correct her, gently stroking my daughter's soft hair. In the car, I check my phone to find dozens of messages from concerned friends who've heard about the case. Among them is a text from Mrs. Chen. Your house is ready whenever you want to come home. I change the locks myself. I smile, feeling the first real sense of relief in weeks. What do you think, Emma? I whisper to my sleeping daughter. Ready to go home? But I already know we won't be going back to that house. There are too many memories there, too many violations. We'll find a new home, with better security and stronger boundaries. A place where no one can ever again try to erase me from my daughter's life. As Sarah drives us back to the hotel, I make a mental list of what comes next. A new home, a good security system, therapy for myself to process the trauma, and eventually, when I'm ready, a support group for other parents who faced similar situations. Jake's mother didn't just try to take my child, she tried to erase my very existence as a mother. But in doing so, she awakened something in me I never knew existed. A fierce, uncompromising determination to protect what's mine. They thought I was an easy target, a tired new mother they could manipulate and intimidate. They had no idea who they were dealing with, and now they never will. It's been 3 weeks since the court hearing, and I still wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, reaching frantically for Emma. Each time, I find her sleeping peacefully in her crib, completely unaware of how close she came to being stolen from me. Today, we're moving into our new home. I couldn't bear the thought of returning to the house where Jake's family had violated our privacy and plotted to erase me from my daughter's life. Every corner of that place held memories of their intrusion. The nursery with its hidden cameras, the living room where they'd gathered to discuss their plan, the closet where Jake had hidden that packed suitcase. This is the last box, Sarah says, setting down a container labeled Emma's Books in the sunny new nursery. The walls are a soft yellow that I painted myself, determined that every inch of this space would be created by my own hands. What do you think? I ask Emma, who's watching from her bouncy seat, gnawing contentedly on a teething ring. At 6 months old, she's growing so fast, already trying to sit up on her own and babbling constantly. I think she approves, Sarah says, smiling as Emma kicks her legs excitedly. And the security system is fully operational. Motion sensors, cameras that only you control, reinforced doors and windows. I nod, feeling both comforted and saddened by the necessity of such precautions. The alarm company is sending someone tomorrow to walk me through the whole system. Sarah squeezes my shoulder. You're doing the right thing. Better safe than sorry. Any updates on the legal front? I ask, unpacking board books and arranging them on the small bookshelf. Jake filed the divorce papers yesterday, Sarah says. As expected, he's only seeking supervised visitation, no custody, and his mother's arraignment is next week for the forgery and conspiracy charges. I feel a complicated mix of emotions at the mention of Jake. Since the court hearing, he's been a broken man, attending therapy 3 times a week and sending me long, anguished emails about his role in what happened. Part of me still loves the man I thought he was, but I don't know if I can ever trust him again. Has he completed the parenting classes? I ask, thinking of the judge's requirements. Sarah nods. 2 more sessions. His therapist sent a preliminary report to the court, recommending the supervised visits start next month, if you're comfortable with that. I look at Emma, who has her father's dimple when she smiles. I don't want to keep her from him forever. He was manipulated too, but the visits will happen at the family center with a court-appointed supervisor. No exceptions. My phone buzzes with a text from Jake's sister. Can we talk? I have more information about Mom's plans. Things you should know. I show Sarah the message. Since the court hearing, Jake's sister has been trying to make amends, providing evidence against her mother and apologizing profusely for her role in the conspiracy. What do you think? I ask. Sarah considers it. Meet in a public place. I'll come with you. She might have useful information for the prosecution. I agree to meet Jake's sister at a coffee shop the next day. When she arrives, she looks thinner, with dark circles under her eyes. She slides a thick manila envelope across the table. These are the original notebooks, she says quietly. Mom kept them locked in her safe. There are 15 of them, dating back years. They detail everything: her obsession with genetic traits, her plans for each grandchild, the methods she used to separate them from their mothers. I open the envelope and flip through pages of meticulous notes, charts, and diagrams. Some date back more than 20 years. Why did she do this? I ask, the question that's haunted me since this began. Jake's sister stares into her untouched coffee. It started before I was born. Mom had a baby who died of a genetic disorder. She became obsessed with genetics, with controlling bloodlines. She believed she could prevent it from happening again if she had complete control over who had children in the family and how they were raised. But why try to erase the mothers? Because we weren't pure enough for her standards. Any outsider was a threat to her genetic plan. The measurements, the photographs she was documenting Emma's development to make sure she didn't show signs of the disorder. She pauses. I'm so sorry. I knew what she was doing was wrong, but I was too afraid to stop her. I close the notebook, feeling sick. These will help the prosecutor build a stronger case. There's something else you should know, she continues. The reason for all those measurements and photos of Emma? Mom was planning to have genetic testing done without your knowledge. She was convinced Emma had inherited some superior genetic traits from Jake's side of the family, traits she wanted to document and preserve. That's why she kept measuring her head circumference, I realize, and taking photos from all angles. Jake's sister nods. She has this theory that certain physical measurements correlate with genetic superiority. It's completely unscientific, but she believes it with religious conviction. After she leaves, I sit with Sarah, processing this new information. At least now I understand why, I say. It doesn't make it less horrifying, but it helps to know there was a reason, however twisted. Some people's trauma turns them into monsters, Sarah says, but that doesn't excuse what they do to others. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in a courtroom watching as Jake's mother pleads guilty to forgery and conspiracy charges. The judge sentences her to 5 years probation and mandatory psychiatric treatment. Part of me wanted a harsher sentence, but another part is relieved that this chapter is closing without a lengthy trial. Jake attends the sentencing, sitting alone in the back row. He makes no attempt to approach me, respecting the boundaries I've set. As we leave the courthouse, he catches my eye and gives a small, sad nod that I return before walking away. That evening, as I'm giving Emma her bath, my phone rings with an unfamiliar number. Hello? I answer cautiously. Is this Emma's mother? An unfamiliar woman's voice asks. My heart rate immediately spikes. Who is this? My name is Melissa, I think. I think my daughter might be Jake's child from his college relationship. Your mother-in-law tried to take her from me too. I sit down, stunned. How did you find me? The court records from your case were made public. When I saw the details, the measurements, the notebooks, the claims of mental instability, it was exactly what happened to me 12 years ago. We talk for over an hour. Her story mirrors mine in chilling ways, the same tactics, the same accusations, even the same language about real family and superior breeding. I ran, she admits. I was 19 and terrified. I gave my daughter up for adoption because I thought it was the only way to keep her safe from that woman. By the time we hang up, I've made a decision. The next day, I register a domain name and create a private online support group for parents who have experienced similar custody conspiracies. I never expected others to join, but within weeks, 3 more women find us, all former partners of Jake's cousins, all with similar stories. As summer turns to fall, Emma thrives. She's sitting up on her own now, babbling constantly, reaching for toys with determined little hands. The dark cloud that hung over us for months is finally lifting. Jake's supervised visits begin in October. The first one is awkward and tense, but Emma lights up at the sight of her father, and I can see genuine love in his eyes when he holds her. I'm sorry, he says as the visit ends. I know I can never make up for what happened, but I'm trying to be better. For her. I know, I say, and I mean it. By December, Jake's sister has become an unexpected ally, testifying against her mother in related legal proceedings and providing evidence that helps 2 other families regain custody of children taken through similar schemes. On a snowy evening just before Christmas, I receive an email from Jake's father. Attached is a photo of Jake as a baby, being measured by his mother in exactly the same way she measured Emma. The cycle has been going on for generations, he writes. Thank you for being the one to break it. Emma's first birthday arrives in January, 1 full year since this nightmare began. We celebrate with a small party at our new home. Sarah is there, along with Mrs. Chen, who brought homemade dumplings that Emma smashes gleefully between her fingers. Jake attends for an hour, bringing a wooden rocking horse he made himself. As I watch Emma toddle unsteadily between guests, accepting cuddles cuddles and offering slobbery kisses, I feel a profound sense of peace. The leather notebooks with their measurements and genetic theories are now evidence in a prosecutor's office. The hidden cameras have been replaced by a security system I control. The fear that lived in my chest for months has finally begun to recede. Later that night, after everyone has gone and Emma is asleep in her crib, I stand in her doorway watching the gentle rise and fall of her chest. The monitor on my hip is secure, broadcasting only to my phone. The windows are locked, the alarm is set, and the doors are secure. Most importantly, Emma is safe. She'll grow up knowing exactly who her mother is, not because of genetic tests or physical measurements, but because I fought for her with everything I had. Because when they tried to erase me from her life, I refused to disappear. I think about the support group, now 20 members strong, sharing resources and legal strategies. I think about Jake, slowly rebuilding himself into someone worthy of being Emma's father. I think about his mother, finally facing consequences for decades of manipulation and harm. They thought I would be easy to replace, easy to erase. They thought wrong. In trying to take my daughter, they awakened something in me that will never again go dormant, the absolute certainty that I am Emma's mother, and no one will ever convince me otherwise. As I gently close her door, I whisper the same promise I've made every night since we escaped. You are safe, you are loved, and I will always protect you. Some promises, once made, can never be broken. This is mine to Emma and to myself.